What's happening, Rebels? Welcome back to another episode of Regal Rebel Builds a Droideka, where we turn this into a bunch of these to create that. Let's get right to it. All right, Loki, how does that smell, huh? Yeah. First big order of filament coming in the mail. How does that feel? Awesome content. Let's get right into it here. So I've already laid out all of the STL files that we're going to be printing out this week. So these two rows right here are actually all going to be the same strength qualities to them. So these are very structural. As you can imagine, the legs, they're holding up the entire droid, along with some help of curtain rods, believe it or not. So if you'll notice that some of these files actually have holes in them, so the oval holes, then the circular holes in the bottom feet here. So we're going to get right into it here. These bottom two rows, as I mentioned, the exact same strength profile, so we're going to go up to 4 wall loops. Okay, as I mentioned last week, we want our structural components to be 1.6 millimeters thick. Right now we're printing with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. Multiply that by 4, that's going to get you 1.6 millimeter thick walls. Okay, coming down here, we want our top shell thickness to be 1. Now Bamboo Studio reverts this back to 0 millimeters standard. We want this to be 1 millimeter on there as well. Now for structural components, we want this, the 15% infill is actually perfectly fine that Bamboo automatically reverts to, but we are going to have triangles for our infill. Actually, this is the only piece that I printed with triangle infill just to give it a shot. I think for a lot of the structural components, I'm going to do the triangle infill from now on. Depending on what it is, sometimes it prints a little faster than grid, and it's obviously going to be stronger because triangle is the strongest shape that there is. So that's really what we're looking at there. We're going to print this in triangle here. And just for an example, let's go ahead and slice this plate as we have it here. So we're going to slice this file. Got this sliced. Now, as you can see, we've got all of our stuff here. Tells you how many grams it's going to be. So this is just under a spool and a half of filament worth for 3 leg pieces here. Total time to print is 23 hours and 41 minutes. So just under a full day of printing. Really not that bad for 3 whole pieces, especially pieces of this size. You can see it takes up the plate pretty well, and it's not the shortest thing ever. But if we really zoom in here, we can actually see our infill. So you notice our infill is actually triangles rather than squares now. So, alright, so as I mentioned, these 2 rows are all going to have that same strength profile. Now this row back here, other than these pins right here, this is not structural at all. This is all greeblies, texture things to give it more realism and detail that it had in the movies. So for these items here, we're going to come back to the strength. We're going to drop this down to 3 wall loops. Now the reason why we're not going down further, even if it is just a detail item and greebly, we don't want to go any less than 1.2 millimeters on anything on this droid. That's just kind of the standard when it comes to building droids and 3D printing pieces for these droids. So yeah, that's really just what we're going to keep it at. We're going to keep the top shell thickness at 1 millimeter, bottom shell at 1 millimeter. Now here's where it comes in. Okay, so we're going to actually drop the sparse infill density down to 6%. We don't need a lot of infill on this, so we're going to leave the triangles the way it is though, and we're going to slice this because I want to demonstrate with the slicer here. As you notice, it's a lot shorter print time because it's a much smaller piece, but 4 hours and 4 minutes. We're also not filling it with nearly as much plastic as the other items that we printed. So, and you'll notice here, the triangles, they're a lot farther apart. Still going to be nice and strong because they're triangles, but they're a lot farther apart than the other slice that we showed you earlier. So, let's get these sent over to the printer and ready for printing. So now we got all of our pieces printed here, laid out on the table. So we're gonna start assembling this. Now I'm gonna build one leg with you in real time here, and then we're gonna do a time lapse for assembling the rest of them. I've got my cup of my little dowels here. I love that shaking sound. I need to print a lot more of them though, because this project requires a lot of those dowels. If I remember right, the PDF tips and tricks said there's going to be about 400 to 500 of those dowels. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's just me spitballing off the top of my head. I know I read it. I just can't remember the exact number. So bear with me here. But let's get these legs assembled here. All right. So this is going to be our hip. This is what goes into the ball, so the main body, which is going to be next week. I've already got some pieces for that on the printer, but nonetheless, let's get going with this. So that slots into the body. We remember that. Then I do have some dowels already put into this piece here, but that's going to line up just like that. So there we go. Okay. Now comes the leg part 2. Okay, so it's that swoopy piece there. Now we're going to grab some more dowel pins. Some of these dowel pins are a little bit tight, which is actually good. That's kind of what you want with building this. There's sometimes I gotta remember that I'm recording, so I'm not used to doing projects on camera, so I apologize if this is ultra noobish, but I'm having a lot of fun with this, guys. The channel has grown a lot since episode 1 of this Droideka build. Really seems like you guys have accepted it really well. I can't thank you guys enough for all your support in the comments, the likes, subscriptions. It's already performing better than I could have ever expected it to, so greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Yeah, and round of applause for all you guys. Seriously, it's absolutely phenomenal. So we've got majority of our leg here. Now, our foot for right now is going to be, for lack of a better word, floating right now. I don't have my pipes or anything to be able to put in these holes. Now, that's what's going to actually hold the foot onto the leg. You can call that cheating or whatever you want. It's not. I promise you, it's the way this piece was designed. It was actually designed to have metal rods and metal poles in the leg to be able to freestand on its own. That was one of the questions I got off of last week's video, was what's the base that's going to be standing on. This is a freestanding droid. This droid is massive and it's also freestanding. So just for reference here, that's going to be about right there. So take all the pieces away, and there you've got one leg. So let's get the rest of these assembled, guys. Alright guys, so we got our 3 legs assembled. Now here we're going to bring this one over here because I'm just going to demonstrate. Now keep in mind, everything right now is just doing a dry fit. We're not gluing anything together right now. We really just want to look at everything, make sure that it's fitting together properly, which everything so far is. These files, I know I say it a lot, guys, but seriously, these files are extremely well designed. So you've got little greeblies like this right here that you see this little dip here. I'm gonna prop this up. It's gonna just slot right there. It's gonna glue in place. All right, and then that's also what these domes here are. Well, I'll pick that up later. But anyway, you got these domes here. They do have dowel holes, so they do slot right there. And then the smaller ones are for the ankle piece here. So let me see if you guys can actually see that. Yes, you can. Perfect. So there's two on each, well, one on each side. So yeah, so that's what this is gonna be here. And just like that, Rebels, we are going to end it here for the week. If you are all happy with the progress that we made this week, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss any of our uploads in the future. And in the meantime, Rebels, keep dreaming, keep building, and please always remember, rebellions are built on creativity.